It is no surprise that getting into the Sundance Film Festival is a common dream among many independent filmmakers. But does the camera that you decide to shoot on hurt or help your chances of getting in? Oh my god. Excuse me, sir. How did you get into Sundance?
Oh, well, we used the ARRI Alexa.
So I read a really interesting article in a website called YM Cinema, and the article was called "The Hypocrisy of Sundance. Is it still a festival for independent filmmakers?" It's based off a recent poll that the website did that asked filmmakers who got into Sundance what cameras they had shot on, and a lot of them had shot on the ARRI Alexa. And from what I gather, the article is trying to ask the question on whether or not the camera that you decide to shoot on affects your chances of getting into the festival. And I have a lot of opinions and comments on this idea. I have talked about these types of lists before where they ask filmmakers at major film festivals like Cannes or South by Southwest, like what cameras that they shot on. And even though I don't take these lists really serious, I really am always interested to see what's going on, and especially when you see a camera that usually gets overlooked or underutilized and it ends up on the list. But again, I don't take these camera lists really that serious because it's just a small fraction of what's going on really in the greater scheme of things. The first thing that I'd like to address is whether or not Sundance is even relevant anymore. And I do have to say that I have a lot of grievances about Sundance and the way that they program things. Like, it's really upsetting when you see a movie with big stars get a slot there when they could have, given a platform to somebody who's unknown. I do think that Sundance still does platform enough new voices for it to be relevant, especially in the documentary genre, where it's already a challenge to get audiences to watch documentaries, and they platform some interesting documentaries that wouldn't have otherwise gotten a chance. But I do think that they are not what they used to be, obviously, back when there weren't a lot of places for independent filmmakers to show their work. But now, on YouTube, on the internet, you have so many more options. I really still believe that today, real independent filmmaking made with a shoestring budget, with just for the passion of it, that cinema exists on the fringes of YouTube and the back alleyways of Tubi TV. And you really have to go out and look for it. But that's not to say that a lot of filmmakers still try to actively pursue getting their film there. And this brings us back to this camera question, whether or not shooting on a higher end camera or something that is not on the ARRI Alexa price could hurt your chances of getting in. Aside from the political reasons, of course, every organization probably has biases on who gets accepted, who doesn't get accepted. Just think about it this way. As a movie goer, ask yourself this question. When you sit down to watch a movie and a movie starts and it immediately does not have the classic traditional looking cinematic images that you're used to, like there's blown out highlights, the sound is not good, it gives off a really bad first impression. And what happens is the viewer may also begin to start thinking, either consciously or subconsciously, like, if this person didn't take care of thinking about the technical aspects of the filmmaking right away, what other aspects might have they neglected? Maybe they didn't care about the story. Maybe they didn't care about the performances. Should I really keep watching this movie? Should I really even give it a chance? And that's not to say that if people choose to shoot on a Blackmagic camera, they're going to have blown out highlights or something like that. But there might be a correlation between choosing a cheaper camera and also not thinking about certain cinematography aspects. The barrier to entry is a lot easier, so you may not be thinking about these things. There is definitely a challenge that you create with the viewer, a barrier that you should be aware of. It might be harder to get somebody to commit to your movie or even take it seriously if you didn't take your audio or your cinematography seriously. As much as audio is important, people go on and on and on about how audio is important. Absolutely, I agree. But if you take away the camera, you essentially don't have a movie. You can have a movie with no sound. Cinematography is not just a tool to tell your movie. It is your movie. Why is it then that a lot of movies that get into Sundance shoot on the ARRI Alexa? And I think what's happening here is that not necessarily that filmmakers don't want to save money on their camera package. I think what's happening here is that if you're using an ARRI Alexa, there is already a level that you've already put your movie to. There's already a thought process that went through about why you're shooting on this camera. Because why would you rent an ARRI Alexa for that cost just to blow out the highlights. Another interesting thing is that Sundance, like anywhere else, like A24, they have a look, they have a bias, they have a type of film that they want to push, a certain idea that they're going for. Now, having said that about Sundance, there is a category in the Sundance Film Festival that I really love, and it's called the Next Section. I feel like it represents what Sundance was originally supposed to be, and that it represents movies that don't have a big budget, they're kind of scrappy, and a lot of great movies have come out of this section. You have, of course, Sean Baker's Tangerine came out of this section that was famously shot on the iPhone. But there is one movie that came out of this section that completely defies everything I just said. I mean, it has blown out highlights, has really unique color grading, and it was absolutely not shot with the Arri Alexa. And this is a movie called Bellflower. And the filmmaker who directed this movie actually designed his own camera system for this movie. And it has a very special look because of that.